All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Founders Corner. In today's episode, I have a very special guest for you. Her name is Rafayette, and she is a product manager. Yes, that's right. We're bringing a product manager finally to the episode. She also does consulting and venture building, and she has a very, very soft spot for helping moms, which I gotta say, I love that. By the way, let's welcome you back to the show. How are you doing?
Hi. Thank you,
Hi,
Safi. Thank you for welcoming me and thank you for bringing me to the show today.
of
And
course.
yeah, thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
joining us.
You're welcome. It's my
Okay,
pleasure.
so why don't we talk a little bit about your consulting and venture building? Then we'll get into the product stuff. But I would love to hear your like how did you get there? How did you go from where you were to where you are today?
Oh, okay. So I'm a multi-potentialite.
Yep.
I struggle with multiple idea syndrome.
Oh yeah, that's product managers in general. I
I
don't
have,
think I think we all have that problem. We have, what do they call it? Ants in the pants? Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's been since when I was small. I just want to be everything. I want to do everything, and I go with shiny objects, and I keep dropping
Are
it.
you an
And
Aquarius?
yeah,
Is your birthday in Aquarius?
I don't know much about that, but I know her May, but I don't know
Okay.
much about the signs because my religion doesn't accept it. But it might be, but I don't know. All right,
Fair.
so I have this shiny syndrome. I start something, I end up leaving it. Then I found product management, and it was wow, this is it. This is what I've been looking for
Hmm.
all my life. Then I started looking for a job, and I deliberately went into venture building because I knew I'll be able to use all of my skills, all of my ideas, all of my building businesses to help all of these ventures work on so many ideas together. So that was why I focused on going into ventures, and it's been amazing. And looking back, I can, if I'm to choose again, I'm going to choose that again.
So interesting that you got into venture building prior to actually having work experience. So did you have product management work experience before you got into building?
No, I don't. I
Okay,
just have a little bit of
you're
internship.
just that good, Raphael.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it is.
eventually. Thank you. Yes, I think it was during my interview, and I was like, "Oh, I built this, I did
Yeah.
this," and I was actually very deliberate in the kind of companies I went for.
Hmm.
So I was not looking for just anything. I knew that this because I get very bored of one thing at the same time.
Right.
Doing just one thing, I get very bored. So I knew that if I want to go into anything, it should be something I can work on six, seven, eight products at the same time, and what
And
industry
and
can do that.
and to
So that's why I went into
and
venture
to be
building.
honest with you, in today's world, product managers don't typically work on more than one project. If anything, they're only really working on one or two features at a time. So
Yeah, yeah, and that is annoying.
yeah.
That is really annoying.
Yeah, especially for someone like us who would get very bored very quickly. Now,
Yeah,
that being said, though, that's usually not within a startup. Like usually startup product managers, they're managing the whole thing by themselves.
the whole thing.
Now, I'm curious, and I would love to hear your feedback on this because you do like to you do consulting and venture building, but I've always told people instead of hiring a CTO, like a technical CTO, you really should be hiring a product manager as your CTO, especially at an early stage. A good one, obviously, it's always with the good ones, but you can always hire developers, and product managers typically can manage developers, but I feel like the technical guys just don't get the product, and
They don't.
they miss so much.
They don't.
Um, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what have you seen work really well in the startup
For
world?
me, for me, I would say that anybody I want to advise, your first person to hire should be your product manager, even
Yeah,
before the developers,
I agree with that.
because yeah, because it is the
Not
product
because
manager.
we're both product managers, by the way.
Obviously, obviously, right? But we know, okay, these days I've been talking to some founders. Okay, they have these beautiful ideas, right? And I'll ask, okay, so have you? done any interview with your customers? Have you done
No,
this? They say, no,
no,
we
they
just
never
have
talk to their customers.
never talk to
No,
customers.
they're
Even
scared of their customers.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're just so I was like, the first set of things you need to do, people are not actually doing it. Then you get be like, okay, we got to the market and it's not working. And on the other side, I've worked with developers that I realized that okay, back in school, my friends are developers. I finished from computer science. I wished I knew something on product manager then. I was an entrepreneur, but all of them were coding. I was like, no, this coding is not for me. I could have managed all their products for them at
yeah.
that stage till I left university, right? So they used to look very smart to me, but working with them, I realized without me, you guys cannot even do anything. That is the funniest because I
That is
literally
that is shot fired. I love it. And I literally say that to my own dev team all the time. I'm like,
yeah,
without me, you'd be useless. And then they go,
yeah.
well, without us, you'd be useless. I was like, well, I know how to code a little bit.
I will even say that okay, I can pull my ideas together and web app will do it for me, right? Because I literally do all I tell them, put one plus one must be equals to two. It's like garbage in, garbage out. Is anything I tell
Yes.
them to do that they will have to reproduce.
Well,
They can't even use their head at sometimes. Like I am the brain. Product managers are the brain of all of these things. Right.
so
So that's
Rafael, I can tell that you don't like devs very much.
not, not that I don't like them. Not that I don't like them, but they leave all the thinking to us.
That's right. And to be frank, they do typically take the path of least resistance. That's like their play, right? Like if I can do it easily this way, I'll just do it this way. And they're very
Yeah,
robotic in their thinking,
yeah,
where you
very,
have to be incredibly empathetic in your thinking when you're looking at users because you have to think about, okay, what look, like I'll talk to some devs and I'll be like, no, you got to put a button this big for the user to see it. And they go, that makes no sense. Why would I need to make it that big? You're just taking up space. And you're
yeah.
like, because old people are going to use this, and old people don't have the greatest eyesight, right? So,
It's really funny that they really don't have an oversight of the things outside,
right,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
and
most companies are missing that part. They feel that the developers should come first. So
yeah, which
most
I disagree with
yeah, a lot
incredibly.
of startups are really missing it in that part.
Yeah, and to be honest, every time we talk to startups, right, and we do development, but we really focus on product. That's our big thing, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
our big focus is what we gotta think through the product, right? It's such a
Um,
novel idea, but
yeah, agree that.
when we're talking to them, we go, you know what? It's okay to compare us to other developers. Let me ask you one question. You've had conversations with developers. Have any of them been able to give you ideas or suggestions on how to make this product better? Or are they simply listening to what you're saying and going, okay, here's a price? And I would say 99.9% of the time, they're like, oh, no, they've never said anything. I'm like, because most times dev shops don't actually know what the heck they're building for you. Like
Yeah,
they're just here's how I understand it, how I'm gonna build it. But when I'm in the meetings, I'm always like, well, oh yeah, you can do this, you can do that. But that only
yeah,
comes
like
from a product manager.
it can only come from product managers. I think
Oh
some
my.
product designers are actually trying now when there's like, when they facilitate design sprint and all of that, coming with ideas and hope. Because my product designer is really very good, but you see, the developers, no, they don't have ideas when it comes to like building the product. They don't at all.
And to be frank, what is a product manager? I would love to hear your definition. My definition of a product manager is someone who can build workflows and understands UX. It's not far from being a designer, just advanced.
Okay, for me, I
I personally
see.
don't like doing the graphic stuff, but like I had to start somewhere.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like I don't. So some people like, have you ever drawn a workflow? No, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that is not part of my
Yeah.
job. I have a designer to do that.
Yes, yes.
That's not part of my job. All right. So I would say product manager is someone that maximizes the impact of the mission, make sure everybody gets the job done and it is done right.
I
So
agree
that
with
is
that.
basic understanding. So every other thing fall into that place. How can I get my team to do the right thing? And how can I make sure that the business makes money and the customers are happy and every other person are doing their job?
You know, this could be a very controversial comment, but I don't care. I'll say it. I think, in my opinion, a founder that knows their industry really well, who's a really good salesperson, if they partner with a really good product manager, their success rate is probably quadrupled.
I 100% agree about that. Like
Because if
100.
the founder can focus and just go sell the product,
Yeah,
and the product manager is grabbing that vision and actually translating it into tech debt and actually building out the product, that's a
yeah.
lethal combination.
I as in 100% agree. What I'm even focusing on right now is, even without going into apps, without building anything, can I build something that will make enough money? Can I build products that will, like, the profit is going to Credible working with the vision of this founder? So
Right.
that is what I'm really experimenting now. As you know, sell before you build. Can I get it in the hands of people and they will literally pay thousands of dollars
I can
without
tell you, not a single
any?
founder have I met so far that actually talks to their customer beforehand.
They don't.
It's
They never
weird.
talk.
It is
I
so
was
weird.
I was in 5 meetings this week with founders. Like, I work with venture that works with other founders, right? And literally none of them have
I
talked
don't.
to
So
customers.
help me
None of
understand this, because I have not been able to understand it, and you're an empathetic person, so I feel like you can give me an answer to this, and you may not, but like, why is it that they do that? My theory is very simple. In my opinion, it's a theory of rejection. They don't want to give their idea for someone to say, "Oh, that's a terrible idea."
I've never thought of it that way. I just
That's
feel
a
that.
theory of mine. I just don't understand it. No one talks. No one.
Okay, okay. So I was able to work with a startups, and when I told them that we need to validate this idea, we need to check it.
Oh, and they go,
So
"No, no, it's secret."
yeah, it's
No,
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 it's
no,
not even,
no.
it's not even that it's a secret. It was like, okay, we we don't just want to push it out like that. We are
Oh my
big
god.
guys, right? We are big guys. We need to build first for like a year, then we can push it out, then we can now validate. I think there is something like talking to customers. Another thing they believe, that I know that people believe, is because maybe from the books that they've read, that Apple or Microsoft don't do customer interview, so they
Which
should
is
not
not
talk.
true, by the way.
It's not true, because they have
They
their first set
did.
of customers. Yeah, and from the data they are getting, they are using that to refine what they have. But you are just starting out.
You know
So
what's
you
funny? You know what's funny? A lot of people will use Apple as a really good example. I'm going to use that example right, Fed. So here's what I'm saying. Everyone goes and goes, well, Steve Jobs never did any customer talking. Okay, first of all, Steve Jobs had 10 years of data of their customers.
yeah,
Before, you know how many failures he also had with Project Next and Pixar. Like, these are all the things. He came far more equipped than you ever have, and you're
you're
trying
just
to compare
starting for
yourself to Steve
crying out
Jobs.
loud.
And I'm like, and you know, and I always say this as a joke, but it's real. It takes 10 years to be an overnight success,
Yeah, yes,
right?
yes,
And like,
yes.
Steve Jobs only became Steve Jobs, really truly became Steve Jobs in 2002, roughly around that time, right? When the iPod came out and things like that. Like, that's when he blew up. And it's like, he's been around since 85,
Since
83,
forever.
and you're
And
comparing yourself to him, and
that
you've
is
been in
almost,
business for a year.
that's what most people do, because they
Yeah.
said, I heard someone said yesterday that because you don't know what the customer will say one thing and they will do another. They said put it in their hand. You
Yeah.
don't have to ask them, right, that will you do this? No, put it in their hand. Buy this thing. Is Are they going to pay you?
Yeah.
Like, that is the real, like, are they going to pay you to do this? Well,
Hmm.
if not, then you're just wasting your time. But people, no, yeah, I think the rejection too can be there, but that comparing is very, very, is one I see most of the time. Like, what they've read, what they've seen other people doing, without actually knowing the real context of
Have you
what
heard
they
the Facebook one? They'll always use Facebook as an example, right? They'll use, well, Facebook was born out of a dorm. Sure, for 5 years, it was born out of a dorm. They didn't make money for 5 years. Back then, developers were not as expensive as they are today. Like
Yeah.
developers are pretty much back then was like, oh my god, I hope I get a job, not you walk out of a school and you immediately have a job offer. So much has changed back since then, and a lot of
So
people
much.
try to yeah, a lot of people try to compare themselves to like Netflix, Google, Facebook, Apple, and Microsoft, and it's like that was a different era. We're in a completely different era now.
The users are now even smarter and they know better. So they know what they want and what they don't.
Yeah,
That's the funniest
true.
thing about it. And
And
another thing I see is that these startups they want to cast a wider net. They don't even know who to talk to. That is
man,
what I see
you're
happen.
just hitting all the points, aren't you? It's like you've talked to startups once in a while.
Yeah.
Yes,
They
yes,
don't
they
know the
love
concepts.
the this product is for everybody,
Yeah,
100%. And every time I talk to them about that, and they say, "Oh yeah, this product is for everybody," I'm like, a product that's for everybody at your scale is a product for nobody.
he's a
So
no. It's
who are
biggest
we
won't be able
specifically
to
talking to?
market it. Who are you talking to? I've built products
100%.
that people will come to me. Rafiat is like you are talking to my head. You get into my head because it is. I built it for one person, my
Yeah,
ideal client. Who is my ideal client?
yeah.
Then I can scale it. But people are not doing that.
Okay,
They
so
want to
let's
target
let
1 million
let
people.
let's start making this a more productive podcast. Let's teach people. Let's stop complaining. Let's actually like
That's
teach people. So
that's
so
true.
let's say I'm a startup, right? And I get this a lot is they want to start a platform, right?
Okay.
Most ideas are as a source of a platform. Like most people, you can tell me what your thoughts are, but every time I
Okay.
talk to customers or like clients or startups or founders, the first thing they always talk about is like, I want to build this platform or this B2B product, right?
Okay.
Let's pretend platform because I think the platform is the hardest thing.
Okay.
Um, what would be your let's pretend you're gonna start giving them advice. What would be your first advice to them? Yeah, beside I think we hit it on the head and the nail to go talk to people. So let's pretend they've gone and talked to people.
And it's a B2B platform, right?
No, platform. Sorry, just a platform. It doesn't
Just
have
a,
to be yeah.
can you give me an example?
Sure. So let's say they're building a platform to connect experts in a
Okay.
field. Let's say psychology. I get that a lot. So, like for example, therapy. I've
Okay.
I've heard that idea like at least 4 or 5 times. So therapists connecting with people who are looking for therapy,
Okay. So something like that is they've talked to people, they know how viable it is. Oh yes, I'm going to use it, right?
and
So the
everyone
first
says it
thing,
like that, exactly like that. Yep.
yeah, definitely,
Oh yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah. I
So
would use that 100%.
so for me, instead of investing a lot of money in the development or doing it very, very long time, I will first start with a web app.
Okay.
How fast can I get people to this thing? And web apps for me, I can build it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? But
Are
while
you
building
using like
it,
no code platforms? Is that why?
yeah, no code platforms. I'm going to use no code platforms to
So
do that.
you're going basic. You're going bare
I'm
bones.
going
Like
basic,
yeah,
very, very basic,
like
because
barely
I've heard,
even a web app. It's
yeah,
more like a
I've
CMS, a content management system.
yes, yes,
You
something
may as
very
well
basic.
use Excel, is what I just heard. But
Even
go ahead,
Excel,
continue.
yeah, like something simple. Just
Okay.
okay, you said you use it. All right, no problem. Then I said, okay, let me see how can I connect these people to these people faster,
See, I would take a
right?
little bit one more step back to that, Rafael, to be
Okay.
honest. So the way I would do it is have you talk to the experts. Okay.
On the other side,
Yeah.
I believe that people building it should be experts.
But like let's pretend like he because realistically he or she uh
Okay.
yeah, right. They have gone and talked to consumers because that's typically what they do,
Okay.
right? They'll go talk to consumers. Like have you heard the DoorDash story?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
I have.
So DoorDash didn't actually know what they were building. They were just a bunch of devs that came out of Google and them, and they were like, what can we build for ourselves? And they went and just started having conversations with people, businesses though. So they didn't talk to the people who were sitting at home wanting delivery. They were talking to businesses who were sitting there going, there is demand for delivery, but there's no way for me to do it efficiently.
Okay.
Right. And it was from that conversation that they learned everything about the customer, which is the door dashing person, right? So like that's why I always say, like, I talk to people all the time who are in the industry. So let's say they are a therapist and they're like, I'm gonna build this because it's amazing. And it's like, how many therapists have you talked to? What pains do they feel, or what pains do they see the client having, so that you can
Yeah.
solve that with your platform? Because that's the miss, right?
All right.
In
I get
my
what you're
opinion,
saying.
at least.
Yeah, I get what you're saying now. Okay. So proper expert interview. Very, very
Yeah,
important.
and I would do 5. You don't need to do anything crazy. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't.
exactly. Okay, so for example, I'm releasing a product for a company and it's called Soul Ledger, right?
Mhm.
It's brings it's like a one shop for accounting. So it's a platform too, right? And all we did was, okay, we need an accountant, right? Talk to people, talk to the accountants that are going to provide these services, and talk to like expert interview, like is like very, very important
Yeah,
in all of things. Yeah. So once we do that, then we went CMS straight up. We are not
right.
spending 1 year, 2 years, or 6 months trying to build something that might not work. Then once we launch, okay, that's our mini marketable product.
Yeah,
Everything collecting payments on the platform and all that. We've gotten our first 20 customers and we did it for like 1 month free. 1 month free, then it's charging to their everybody dropped their email account. So it's launched yesterday. We've gotten 20 and we'll just keep testing and keep iterating.
right,
Okay, now let's get into we've seen that people really want this. People have this problem. Now let's get into the app or any other way we want to scale it. Right. But
right.
that interview, I agree with it. And like it
So
is very,
that's how a business should work.
yeah.
What do you think has gone so wrong where startups now feel like, because I'll talk to startups all the time. And by the way, this is just a dose of reality. I do this in my work boot camps, and when I do speeches anywhere. I'm very honest, and I hate fluff,
Yeah.
right? Um, but like one of the big things is like I'll meet startups and they'll sit there and be like, "Yep, I'm gonna raise $1 million on an idea." Okay. Then you talk to them and you're like, "Okay, well, how much money are you putting into it?" And then they go, "No, I'm not putting money into it."
You don't even believe in the idea you are building. you
Are you serious?
I
Like
said,
that's how I look at it. I'm like, how can you possibly want a VC to, or a VC never goes into pre-seed, but like, how would you expect an angel? If I gave you $10 million tomorrow, and I said you only can invest this in startups, and a startup comes to you and says, I'm not putting my own money into it, but I want your money, would you do
money,
it?
not at all. I will never do that.
It blows my mind when the startups talk like that, because I'm just like sitting there going, this isn't 19, or this isn't 2015 where like you could literally be pulled from the street and be like, do you have an idea? I'll give you $1 million right now.
I
Right.
think some people still do that.
That's only in Silicon Valley. And that's the problem, is
Yeah.
they hear the stories in the valley, and that valley story gets around, and now everybody thinks in their city it should be the same, and it's
It's really
not.
the same. I agree.
Right? Like New
And
York isn't even like that. Like New York won't just put money into it, like Boston, and you got MIT there. You got Seattle. They won't even do that. So Valley is very different. But how do you set expectations accordingly? Because I think a lot, like you said, they read things, they think they know, but they so don't know. Like they know their industry really well, but they know nothing about the startup world. And then there's that weird transition of like you're gonna get eaten alive. So I don't know how
so
do
I
you.
think I think what I do is, okay, when someone comes to me, okay, I have this idea and okay, so tell me about where is your head at? Like, why the idea? Most times it's from, oh, I have this problem and I want to build this and I want to do that, or I'm in this business, this is the pain point I'm seeing. Okay, have you talked to somebody? No. So we ask series of questions. So I've created a series of questions that I ask these founders, right, to understand their vision fits. Okay, is this person fit for this product? I check in the mode of the product. Is this something that is going to cash fire? Is this something that has enough can has have enough network effect that when it go live, people like the more people go. I check in the motor as much as possible. What are the strategies that are put in place, right? I check in the product positioning, I check in all of that, then I send in the assessment. Then when you're available, let's talk about it. Okay, then I put this assessment I've done is I check competitive analysis, right? What are the other products? Seven similar customers or users. Some don't, as I've said, some of these founders they don't talk to customers, they don't even know their audience, they just want to cast the wider net. So I try as much as possible to assess them based on what every other person is doing in the market. Then I
But I
tell them
feel,
that, okay,
but I feel
this
like
is your
you're, I feel like you're doing it properly. You're slowing it down, but like startups hate that. Like founders hate being slowed down. So,
slow down. You mean this is going to take me like 2 days to do, so it's not
okay,
slow down.
sorry, slow down. I
Yeah,
mean, like, take one step at a time, take baby steps, right? So, like, once you do your assessment, let's say it's a go, but your suggestion is, okay, let's start a simple no code app, right? Let's
yeah.
build that out. Let's start talking to customers. And they immediately go, no, I got to go big. Like, this is a big idea. Like, I don't want
Yes, it's
someone to
that
just
big.
jump in.
It is that big, but any customers that said it, like I was talking to my co-founder 3 days ago. I was like, okay, this partner that we are onboarding, if he's not going to accept this framework that we've set, then no, it's a no-go. Because I
Mhm.
don't want to build products that are not going to be profitable in the market because
Smart.
it annoys me. It annoys me when you like
You
when
know
you build
what? It's a good position to be in when you can say no to money. So that's good.
not I'm saying no to money, right? But I'll make sure that, I've given you the assessment.
Yeah.
I've given you the assessment. I've saying that this is your positioning, this is where you are. You've not even validated it. You've not talked to customers. You've not, this is like, I'm going to put you on a positioning that you will see that, oh, I'm on a 42% or I'm a 43%. Then we are going to discuss this as well. So what most people want to do is, oh, let's go big.
Yeah.
It needs to be the biggest app in the world. It needs to be the biggest this. And I was like, no, it doesn't work that way. We need to go small. We need to learn, right? Learn.
And again, I think that's based on the misconception that
Yeah.
you can become an overnight success,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I agree.
Like it
Agree.
takes 3 years just for your business to start stabilizing and understanding who your
Yeah.
customers are, having that
Yes.
10 or 20 clients paying for it, understanding how to develop it further, right? Like these are the big things that need to be ironed out that like truly they're not. And they come into the business thinking, tomorrow I switch the lights on, it's going to go big.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I agree.
it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
And I think for most founders is something of ego, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
100% it's an ego. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, I'm building this, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just do this. And it
Yeah,
is more than that. Like they are more in love with the idea than the customers that they are meant to serve, or
yeah.
even the business itself, which is not so good.
Well, and it goes back to oh, this is gonna make a lot of money. And they're doing it for the money and not for the love, right?
Yes.
Like my big thing is like I sit there and first of all, I think all founders need to have an ego because otherwise you wouldn't start this. Like this is a business. Like being a founder is kind of suicidal, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
almost like you have to like really believe in yourself. And like realistically, only egoistic people really believe in themselves that much to think you're going to be that successful. No, really, I'm being serious, right?
Yeah.
Like I always tell people being a founder or an entrepreneur is like jumping off of a cliff with the plane parts. But while you're diving onto like you're falling to the ground, you have to put the plane together and
Yeah.
actually survive.
I agree.
Right? Like you have to
Actually,
have an ego to jump off the cliff with no plane.
I like the analogy you just please.
Which one? The too much ego that you can only start, or the plain one?
Yeah, you can only like, to be honest, right? Like I think it's a ego thing because most people just, oh, I want to do this. I told my community that this app is going to be out, right? Like without actually doing those proper things,
Yeah,
that makes it very successful. And 1 year, 2 years down the line, then the app is no more, the business is no more. So
yeah, yeah, one hundred
what are
percent.
we
They don't
talking?
last. They don't last.
Yeah, they don't last. Businesses like that don't last at all.
Yeah.
At
And
all.
grit is a major part too. You really have to have grit. You got to keep pushing through it. You got to keep, yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that.
Yes.
What suggestion do you make from a founder's perspective? I mean, we talked about the first hire being a product manager. What are you looking for in a product manager that makes them a good product manager? Besides being brilliant like you and I, but like I'm just
Ability to get the job done.
but how do you assess that? Because that's a hard thing to assess. I mean,
Very, very hard. I
it's
think,
funny because I asked like I found like I talk to VCs and angels all the time, right?
yeah.
And I'm like, how do you assess them? And they're like, to get things done. I'm like, how do you assess? That's not an accessible thing, right? So like, how do you assess that a good product manager can make or break your product or your
Okay.
business?
So I think the first thing that is very important for me is subject matter expert,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So for
Which
example,
for like you and I, we're not very good at being experts in subject. We're just very good at knowing all these subjects.
yeah, because yeah, like we've done so many things,
Yeah.
right? So for example, a product came in yesterday, and the product is on it's for party goers. So
Okay.
this founder wants to build a product for party goers where when you get to,
Party goers.
yes, yes, yes.
Party goers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said there is a gap in the market that when the people that reserve tables, VIPs, right?
Aha,
They,
like bottle service.
yeah, what do
Aha,
service?
okay.
Like, the agents are not being tipped enough and stuff like that.
They're
So
not being what enough?
they're not being tipped enough.
Oh, tipped.
Yeah, so
I think they get
there
tipped a
is
lot.
there is a sharing cut in the
Okay.
industry. Yeah, like when maybe someone that owns the night is there. He explained it, but because I'm not a party goer, I don't do all of that. But I have someone on my team that is a party goer, right? I knew immediately that, oh, this person is going to be perfect for this product. So those are the things that I look at as well, right? Like it has to be like you need to be connected. You need to know things about it. You need to be literally directed to the product. Else it is going to be rubbish in the market.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's
Yeah. So that is
well,
one of the
like
things. Okay,
the
again.
big thing for me to assess someone is really, do they understand what the problem is?
Yeah. The person
You'd be
needs to be like,
surprised.
yeah. Okay, so we wanted to hire a consultant for a product that is for immigrants, and this person is not an immigrant.
Yeah, I've heard
He
that
does
idea at
not
least
even
5 times too.
understand. He does not even understand what being an immigrant is. He does not understand. He cannot even. I was like, how can you think of hiring this person to come and edit this product?
Yeah,
Someone
that's
that is
tough. Yeah, you have to
immigrant,
be an immigrant to understand the problems. Yeah, that's true.
you need to be like,
Yeah,
you need to understand the problem. You need to understand the problem.
yeah,
You need
yeah,
to. You need to.
yeah. So like, I think most of them being more than being a subject matter expert, as they call it, I would say you need to be more of a like, how resourceful are you? How easily can you find
Yeah.
answers?
Answers. Yeah.
Right? Problem solving skills. I would say focus on that is a lot because
Yes.
those are the things I can tangibly see how you think.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think,
Yes.
in my opinion, if you can find a product manager who can think, so my one of the product managers we have, his name is Milan. He had zero experience, zero, but he's very smart. He's very intelligent. He knows how to think through a problem, and now he's one of my like top stars. Right, but it
Yeah.
took two
We're
year 3 years.
always top stars, right? We're
But
always
it
top
took 3 years. It took 3 years to get him there. But
stars.
he's I you can put, if Corridor tomorrow goes bankrupt, he can get a job and destroy anybody as a product manager, right? But that took time. But that's what I was looking for, is like, how are you at problem solving? How are you about researching the problem
Yeah.
and understand? Because you and I are the same, right? Like when we get an industry where we're like, I don't really know that much about it, I kind of roughly get it because it's business, right? Business is always the same,
Yeah.
right? When we get that, we go look into it. Like, okay, what are the top problems that people like? You'd be surprised what you can find with Google, and
You
yet
like
no one uses Google.
no, even the chat GPT that people
Oh,
use it the
ChatGPT
wrong
is amazing
way.
now, but
Yeah,
chat.
people use it the wrong way. People don't ask questions,
No,
right?
they tell it to
People
do stuff. Yeah.
people don't ask the right questions that makes sense. Yeah,
By the way, do
basically.
you know how smart it is for you to ask ChatGPT questions? Do you want to know why it's really smart to do that?
So
Do you know
do I
why?
why?
Because their entire natural language processing was built off of Twitter and Reddit and the World Wide Web, but like Reddit and Twitter. And like people are there at their most honest on Twitter and Reddit. So
Yeah.
if you actually ask it questions about like how do people feel about X, it's probably looking at what people said in Reddit.
I actually did that yesterday. So I was doing a niching down for a product yesterday, and I was literally asking, okay, what do people ask ChatGPT?
Yeah.
What do people ask Google? What and it's literally I was like, okay, this has cut down my processes into like
Half.
one over like more
Yeah.
than half. So which is very, very brilliant. I agree. Like most people they are not using it the right way to even ask the right questions from people.
To
Yeah.
be honest with you, at one time I did actually ask it, like, if I'm planning to build a product like this, what would be my top product features that I should have in there? And it was amazing. Like, it was bang on with, like,
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
some where I was like, I don't know. Like, you still have to, like, analyze it yourself. You kind of have to be human about it. But, like, it does so much of the heavy lifting for you. And it's so
So
much
much.
easier,
Yeah, so much, so
right?
much, so much, so much. I
So,
agree. I agree.
okay, so let's say the startup came to you, founder came to you. I always like to leave on a good note. So my big question for you is, what have you seen that a founder does that's really effective at making their startup a higher probability of success? What's that one thing you've noticed they do?
That they do.
Or they have.
I think
Let's not talk about having talked to customers. We've already established that doesn't happen anyways.
I think one thing that they do well, some of the ones I've talked to that I know that is a team, a very good team.
Yeah.
If you have a very good team, even if you are struggling, you can easily pivot into something else.
Okay.
Right? So there's startups I know, like they've been like, okay, they've gotten it wrong from the beginning. Now they are trying to retrace their step. Okay, what should we do? Let's go validate. We help them put a lot of validation out. Like, okay, let's do this. Nobody's clicking because they have an app, right?
Hmm.
Nobody's using the app. The metrics is not making sense. From a lot of money, they don't have money again, like what I said, right? They stop having money,
Yeah.
things are not doing well. It's like, okay, should we shut down and close everything or we should continue? Then I said, you know what? The best thing about all of this is the team that you have
Yeah.
right now today, right? If any of your team should go out, you have very brilliant minds that you've built yourself. These are people that came from the same way you built your best star was the
Yeah.
same way everybody on that thing was built as well. And they are now very good at their job, very exceptional. Just that they got it wrong from the beginning. Like trying to
Yeah.
like egoism. Oh, we have this big idea. We want to disrupt the market. We want to build a build ocean. We want to do all of that, which is the wrong way of doing things. Okay. Can you use this team to make money right now?
Yeah. Good
How
point.
still
Yeah.
building that? Because that was the
How
best thing.
adaptable can you be?
How adaptable can you be?
Yeah.
Then
Smart.
okay, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Then I help them
Pivoting
trans.
is like a second language in
Yeah, then I
startup.
help them transition
Yeah.
into a service company, and they've gotten their three clients right now.
Good.
Yeah,
Wow.
I help
Great.
them transition that. Okay, if this immigrant thing is not working, abandon it. You don't have to die on an idea.
You don't
Can
have
you
to die on the hill.
Yeah, can you pivot into something else?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're really doing good right now.
Cool.
Yeah,
Great. Awesome. That's great advice, actually. Yeah. Don't die on the hill. Keep
yeah,
trying. You
yes,
know what? Being a founder and being an entrepreneur, you do have to stay there long enough. You got to play the game long enough to get lucky.
yeah,
So
yeah,
just
yeah.
keep fighting. Keep fighting.
Keep fighting. There's
And
always another day.
remember, you like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And trust me, you will get punched in the face. So that's a great way to leave the podcast on that note. Is hopefully you don't get punched in the face, but be prepared that when you do, you don't have a plan.
Yeah,
Um, Rafael, thanks so much for joining us today, and this was a lovely conversation with you. And I think you were my therapist today. I'll call it that because you hit it on the nail every single time. So
thank
I
thank
agree
you.
with you, and
It
hope
was really, really amazing doing this with you.
good.
As-
I'm glad you have fun. You know what? It's a conversation. That's the whole point. And
yeah,
hopefully, our founders that are listening take away some of this goodness that we gave them today as two very expert product managers.
yeah. How long have you been doing product management, by the way?
Sorry.
How long have you been a product manager, by the way?
Oh, I've been in product management for 7 years, 8 years now.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's been a minute. I
Yeah, yeah.
started with design. So
Oh,
design, workflows, I did the whole shebang. I'm even a developer. Like I do the developing on our team sometimes too.
wow.
So
Oh,
whenever we
wow.
need to offset. So I'm kind of a weird hybrid slash I wear all the
I don't,
hats
I don't
slash
like designs. I don't like designs. I don't like development.
no.
I
I
don't.
mean, don't get me wrong, it's not my preferred work. But you know, when you're running a company, you kind of have to do whatever is needed from you. So keep that. That's another advice we have for founders.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
that is what we product managers are for, to get our hands
There you go. Very true. Very
get
true.
our hands dirty on anything you want us to do.
Anything at all. Exactly.
Anything at all. Yeah.
Rafael,
If I
thanks.
called me today and it was like, I need some energy. I need some energy. Can I talk
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah. That's fair. That's
I
fair.
need, I need some energy.
I love it. I love it. Rafael, thanks so much for coming on. And everybody back at home, thank you all for listening to another great episode of Founders Corner. If you know anybody that might be interested in this video, please do share, as this episode, all these videos are for you guys. So hopefully you guys are taking a lot away from it. Like and subscribe. And until next time, Koridor out.
Bye.
Awesome. Just let me finish this here.